Hello, 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 and welcome to this month's amazing lineup on the Her Version Impact panel. Her Version just hit its 1-year mark and continues to grow at rapid rates. We just hit our 100th guest speaker last week. We have over 450 YouTube videos, over 90 audio podcasts, over 400 members in our Facebook group. Be sure to join us, and drum roll. We just launched our first and definitely not our last podcast marathon. For the first time ever in history, we have had 12 hours straight of females only speaking on our platform. We promise to continue to grow and expand and provide you with beneficial information to help you in your everyday life. I am thrilled to have a female panel filled this month as we speak about depression and anxiety, something so many women and men are dealing with, especially right now. The conversation around this topic will be broad and will guarantee to educate you on so many areas of your life. Join us as we dive deep into our personal journeys and what we have created for ourselves in order to better our lives. There will be live Q&A for those of you that are already jumping on live for the next 2 hours. So get your questions in the comments. For those of you that don't know me, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic over. I'm going to let Tessa kind of settle in a little bit. I'm going to scoot over to Elizabeth to take over. Tell us a little bit about yourself and question.
My question is going to be rooted in telling a little bit about my experience with depression. So one thing that you might find in studying depression or reading about it is that it has the manifestation of grief. The sensations and experiences of depression and grief are very analogous. And oftentimes the differentiation in diagnosis is length of experience. And one thing that I know to be true for myself is that I have, and someone mentioned this before, I forget. I don't think she's on with us anymore. How emotion sits in the body. And so for myself, I have had the experience where I will have the physical sensation of grief with no cause. And it is very specifically, like it's a very clear and distinct sensation of a tightness and a coldness in my heart. And that I can literally follow that sensation all the way. It's like drawing a line down my arm all the way to the tip of my ring finger and my middle finger. Wow. It's a very specific sensation. And that's a very telltale sign of like, oh, this is an episode. So my question is, do you have any of those physical alignments with either the depression or the anxiety? And is there anything that you have found that, like, when you address the physical sensation, can relieve the emotion? Does anybody have? Emily.
Okay, I love having conversation about how we store emotion in our bodies. My first professional background is in sports medicine. So I did a lot of hands-on work with athletes. And a lot of the time, a lot of my educational preparation was how we store emotions and how that can impact performance. So for me, what I have learned from myself from that background knowledge, and then more information around Reiki and massage and all of that, I store my sadness in my abdomen, and my hip flexors, my psoas muscles get really tight, and it manifests as having like an upset stomach. And I am trained in how to do muscle work to release that. So I, have those tools that I can do it myself, but I'm very big on trying to teach people who have similar emotion or similar manifestations physically from those types of emotions, how to do that themselves, because we store so much in our abdomen. In our abdomen and in our glutes. There's a lot of anger in your butt. You store a lot of anger in your glutes. But it's huge for me. I can tell when I am in that overwhelm and my normal tools aren't working. I have to take time. I lay down on the floor. I prop my legs up on the couch, and I spend 20 minutes working on releasing my hip flexors. And then I feel an immediate calm once I have taken that time for myself. And I also know not everyone can do that. Not everyone has that time or that space. So there are definitely other ways that are helpful for me. Breath work. I do some yoga, some sort of like yoga movement. I try to do at least 5 to 10 minutes a day to keep that whole area open so that I'm less likely to get in that space of super tight storage. But gosh, if societally we could just talk more about how we store emotions in our body instead of letting the emotions be information about what we give meaning to, wouldn't that be amazing? We'd all be more in connection with our bodies and ourselves, our experiences.
Yeah, definitely. Like your feelings. Where are you feeling your feelings? Is we ask that question more often. I think I saw Marie.
Yeah, so for me, it manifested as fibromyalgia. I was diagnosed with that. It was a lot of tightness in my shoulders. I did, even to the point that I did physical therapy so that I could get an MRI so that I could check to see if there was something physically wrong with me. And there wasn't. There was no explanation. There was no like um, physical proof. And so it was definitely at that point that I needed to um, shift my thinking for myself. What is it? Why is that happening? And it was definitely, that saying where they say you hold the weight of the world on your shoulders. Um, and I was taking on a lot. And unlike Sabrina, I always said yes. For my, that was definitely something I learned from my mother, that I needed to people please. And so I took on a lot, and always I could fix it. I wanted to be Miss Fix It. And there's still some aspects of that of me, but for the most part, I learned to say no more often, more boundaries, and know that I don't have to say yes all the time.
100%.
Freaking
I'm going to just interject real fast. We're going to go with Torie, and then we're going to have Shelby take over.
Okay, so I'm really into astrology and chakras and, crystals and all that woo-woo stuff. And like this chakra system works for me. Like if I have a headache, I know that like I'm overwhelmed, I'm not following my intuition. If I have a stomach ache, I'm like, okay, where am I giving my power away? Like if, I actually like my heart chakra is the one that is usually the most issue. And I think I mentioned before how I had a bad day on Thursday. it didn't register that I was having a bad day yet. And I mean, the day was fine. The day was normal, but like I was having a tough day. And it was like I woke up that morning and I was having trouble breathing. And, my first thought is external, like, oh, maybe it's allergies, or, maybe my lupus is flaring a little bit or something like that. But it was like probably around noon, I started realizing that I was like experiencing that grief feeling and that like heartbroken feeling. And I'm like, oh, my heart chakra is like, I need some self-care. Like I need to start loving myself right away. I need to allow other people in my life to love me. And so that's when I, brought in my sister and my boyfriend, where I'm just like, I'm having a tough time. And then by the next day, that tightness in my chest had completely left. And so that's like, I don't know, that system rings true for me completely.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, Torie. Shelby.
Hi, Shelby. I am a graphic designer in Denver and have been struggling with the lung disease for the last 8 years. So my question is, since this is an open panel and we've kind of been having great discussions, is there anything that you feel that you've picked up from this panel today that you want to add to your repertoire of tools that somebody else brought up? Sabrina.
Shelby bringing up the point system. Girl, because that's what it is. I so appreciate like you put that with the actual word that I can use to be able to express what I'm feeling. So when I don't feel like doing something that seems so simple to somebody, I can very easily say all my points are gone for the day. That's it.
Yep.
No more points left. So I love it.
Yeah. With the point system, I used to assign guilt of being that, oh gosh, I can't do that. But now I don't assign guilt to anything anymore. And I just think of what is best for me, since I'm the only one that's in my body and that can feel how sick I feel, how tired I feel, how sad I feel, because only you know what is best for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Torie.
Sabrina's saying no to stupid things. Like that was a huge light bulb moment for me. I was like, I'm really good with like work boundaries, like, I'm not going to work late and stuff like that. And, but all of a sudden I was just like, whoa, like how many little things that, like Elizabeth was saying, erode that happiness and that contentment. And I'm just like, whoa, like I need to have some conversations with, people at my work and people around here to like be like, okay, I'm going to start saying no to stupid things, because that's kind of eating away at me a little bit.
100%.